In a world that mistakes noise for progress, we've been conditioned to believe that the louder you are, the more you matter. Scroll through social media, watch the news, walk into any meeting. The message is the same. Speak up, speak often, be seen. But what if true influence doesn't come from filling the space with words, but from knowing when to leave it empty? What if your greatest strength isn't in what you say, but in what you choose not to? This isn't about fear. It's not about being quiet because you're unsure or afraid of conflict. No, this is about strategic silence, the kind that unsettles, disarms, and ultimately outmaneuvers. Silence is not absence, it's presence. A deliberate pause, a calculated retreat. A moment where you choose power over reaction. Imagine walking into a room full of chaos, opinions flying like sparks in a storm, and instead of jumping in, you stay grounded, quiet, present, unshaken. That's not weakness, that's mastery. In this article, we reveal the 5 critical moments where speaking less gives you massive leverage, where silence becomes your sharpest weapon, your clearest mind space, and your most unbreakable shield. These aren't just life hacks, they're mindset shifts, moments where choosing silence doesn't cost you anything. It earns you everything. So, are you ready to stop fighting the noise and start mastering it? Let's dive in. We live in a world that never stops talking. Social media, comment sections, group chats. It's like everyone's shouting just to be heard. And in all that noise, rumors spread fast, criticism flies hard, and sometimes people just say things they don't even understand. But here's something most of us forget. You don't have to answer everything. Choosing silence isn't about being afraid or unsure. It's about being smart. It's about knowing that not every fire needs your attention. Sometimes, the best way to put it out is by walking away. When you don't react to nonsense, you take away its power. You starve it of oxygen, and more often than not, the noise fades on its own. Think about it. Have you ever seen someone constantly arguing with trolls online? It rarely ends well. But the person who stays calm, doesn't bite, and keeps moving forward? That's the one who looks strong and sane. Even history's sharpest minds knew this. Mark Twain once said, "Never argue with a fool. Onlookers may not be able to tell the difference." Leonardo da Vinci believed, "Nothing strengthens authority so much as silence." And modern research backs them up. Studies show that engaging with trolls can actually make their message spread up to 7 times more. Silence? That's what truly shuts it down. You see it everywhere too. Think of how Mark Zuckerberg often stays quiet during Facebook scandals. Whether you agree with him or not, his silence sometimes lets the storm pass without fueling the fire. Or how Taylor Swift rarely responds to gossip, letting her work speak for itself. Even the local business owner who chooses not to fight back against one bad review often comes off as more mature, confident, and trustworthy. So no, silence isn't running away. It's choosing your battles. It's knowing when to rise above. And sometimes, it's the most powerful move you can make. We've all been there. Emotions run high. Someone says something that hits a nerve, or maybe you're the one feeling overwhelmed with anger, sadness, or frustration. In those moments, words can fly faster than thoughts, and before you know it, something gets said that can't be taken back. That's when silence becomes your best friend. Choosing not to speak in the heat of emotion isn't about being weak or avoiding the issue. It's actually the opposite. It's emotionally intelligent. It's choosing wisdom over reaction. And sometimes, it's the only thing standing between a conversation that heals and one that destroys. Think about it. When someone is upset, do they really want a response right away? Or do they just need to feel heard? Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can offer is your presence and your quiet attention. Silence gives people space to vent, to process, to calm down. It's like letting a storm pass without getting caught in the rain. And if you've ever watched a therapist, a mediator, or a skilled leader handle a tense situation, you know they don't always jump in first. They wait, they listen, and then, when the time is right, they speak with purpose. Even in history's most intense moments, silence made a difference. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, President Kennedy received an emotional, aggressive letter from Khrushchev. Instead of reacting, he waited. He focused on a calmer follow-up message, and that pause helped avoid a nuclear war. Science agrees too. Neuroscientists say just a 6-second pause can shift your brain from panic mode to thinking clearly. And studies show that when you combine silence with real listening, tension drops by nearly half. That's huge. So whether you're dealing with an angry customer, a frustrated coworker, or a teenager who's had a rough day, staying quiet for a moment can actually open the door to understanding. Because once someone feels heard, they're way more likely to hear you. As John F. Kennedy once said, "When you are inspired, you speak. When you are quiet, you listen." And listening, real listening, is one of the most powerful ways to show respect, love, and leadership. Silence doesn't mean you're giving up your voice. It means you're saving it for when it matters most. We've all been in those moments. You're in a meeting that's heating up, a negotiation where the other person won't stop talking, a debate where everyone's trying to outshout each other, and your gut says, say something, defend yourself, fight back. But what if the real power move is saying nothing at all? Silence in high-pressure moments isn't about backing down, it's about taking control. It's about letting the other person squirm just enough to reveal more than they meant to. Because when you stay quiet, while others scramble to fill the silence, something interesting happens. They start giving away pieces of the puzzle they didn't plan on sharing. Think of it like this. You're sitting at a negotiation table. The other side is talking fast, pushing hard. But instead of matching their energy, you sit back. You pause. You let the silence stretch. Suddenly, they get nervous. They start offering more, concessions, reasons behind their demands, even weaknesses they didn't mean to show. That silence, it just became your secret weapon. It works everywhere, in business, in conversations, even in poker. Ever seen a player with a blank face? They don't flinch. They don't talk too much. They just sit. And suddenly, the guy across the table folds under pressure he didn't expect. Same goes for leaders. Think of a CEO who lets everyone else argue in a boardroom meeting, then speaks once, and changes the whole direction of the conversation. Or detectives who ask one question and then just wait. Silence makes people uncomfortable. So they talk more than they should. And that's when the truth slips out. Science agrees too. Studies show that negotiators who use silence well, who listen more and speak less, get better outcomes. Up to 30% better. Why? Because while the other side is busy talking, they're learning what really matters. People hate awkward pauses so much. They'll do almost anything to fill them, including revealing their hand too early. Take Steve Jobs during the Disney Pixar deal. He didn't try to impress with flashy words. He waited. Let Disney talk. Let them panic over the silence. And eventually, they offered more than he expected. Or think of Columbo, the classic TV detective. Ask one simple question, then go quiet. Wait, watch. That silence made suspects spill secrets they never meant to share. So whether you're in a job interview, a sales pitch, or just dealing with someone who wants to dominate the conversation, remember, silence doesn't have to be awkward. In the right hands, it's powerful. As Charles de Gaulle once said, silence is the ultimate weapon of power. And sometimes, the best way to win a moment is by not saying a word. Let's be real for a second. Our brains are under constant attack. Emails, texts, social media pings, endless meetings. We're always on, always switching tasks, always trying to keep up. And somewhere in all that noise, something important is slipping away. Our ability to really think, to create, to come up with ideas that matter. Because here's the thing, your best thinking doesn't happen when you're multitasking or doom scrolling. It happens when it's quiet, when no one's talking, when there's nothing pulling at your attention but your own thoughts. Breakthrough ideas? They don't show up in chaos. They grow in silence. Think of it like this. Your brain is a room full of scattered puzzle pieces. In the middle of the day, with all the noise and distractions, it's impossible to find the right ones. But in silence, the pieces start to settle. Connections form. Suddenly, you see how it all fits together. That's not just poetic, it's science. Studies show that even 2 hours of silence a day can actually help your brain grow new cells, especially in areas tied to memory and learning. And when you let your mind wander without interruption, a part of your brain, called the default mode network, kicks in. That's where creativity lives. Big ideas, strategic thinking, the stuff that changes games. But most of us never get there because we're being pulled in 10 directions every hour. Research says the average worker gets interrupted every 3 to 11 minutes. And once you lose focus, it takes over 20 minutes to get it back. So no wonder we feel stuck. We never give ourselves a chance to think deeply. That's why the world's top performers treat silence like gold. Take Bill Gates. Every year, he'd take what he called a think week. No phone, no meetings, no distractions. Just books, solitude, and space to reflect. Some of Microsoft's biggest moves came out of those silent retreats. Or J.K. Rowling. She got the idea for Harry Potter on a quiet train ride. Later, she locked herself away to write, letting the magic unfold without interruptions. Even Einstein credited his genius to time spent alone. He once said, "The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind." So silence isn't just peaceful, it's powerful. It's not emptiness, it's potential. A blank canvas, a moment where everything else fades out so your mind can finally speak up. In a world that won't stop talking, maybe the smartest thing you can do is be still. Let the noise go and listen to what's already inside you, waiting to be heard. There are moments when the most powerful thing you can do is say absolutely nothing. Think about it. When someone misunderstands you, pressures you to go against what you believe, or treats you unfairly, it's natural to want to jump in and defend yourself, to explain, to argue, to prove your point. But sometimes the strongest move isn't to speak up, it's to stand still. Because silence, rooted in conviction, speaks volumes. It says, I don't need to fight to be right. I don't need to shout to be seen. I'll let my actions and my quiet strength do the talking. And that kind of silence, it doesn't shrink you. It makes you unforgettable. History is full of people who changed the world without raising their voice. Take Rosa Parks. She didn't give a fiery speech or lead a march that day. She just sat quietly on that bus, refused to move. And in that one silent act of dignity, she sparked a movement that shook a nation. Or Greta Thunberg. Just one girl, standing alone outside a government building with a hand-painted sign. No megaphone, no crowd. Just her presence, her message, and the silence around her. And somehow, the whole world leaned in to listen. That's the thing about silence grounded in values. It commands attention. Not because it's loud, but because it's unshakable. Science even agrees. Studies show people are seen as up to 70% more trustworthy when they stay calm under pressure and don't lash out. When you don't react emotionally, you take away the noise, and all that's left is your integrity speaking for itself. Psychologically, silence disarms people. It takes away the urge to argue, to interrupt, to win. Instead, it forces them to sit with your truth, not your words, but your presence. Whether it's a whistleblower gathering proof without saying a word, or someone simply refusing to play into drama or negativity, silence becomes their armor. And sometimes, their weapon. As the old saying goes, actions speak louder than words. And Oprah once said something that hits just as hard. Your power is often found in the silence of your conviction. So next time you're tempted to explain, justify, or fight back, pause. Ask yourself, what if I just stood my ground quietly? What if I let my consistency speak instead of my temper? Because when your values are clear, you don't need noise to make your point. Sometimes, the loudest thing you can do is say nothing at all and let your silence speak for itself. Think of your words like a river, big, powerful, always moving. You could try to dam it up, fight its current, or force it where you want it to go, but that's exhausting and honestly, not very effective. The smarter move? Understand the flow. Guide it. Set boundaries around it. Not to stop it, but to give it direction. Because when a river runs freely within its banks, it doesn't lose power. It gains purpose. It becomes life-giving. It moves things. Your voice is just like that. It has weight, impact, the ability to shape people's thoughts, change minds, even shift directions in your life. But here's the thing. When we talk too much, when we explain everything, react to everyone, and fill every silence, we dilute that strength. We scatter it. That's where strategic silence comes in. Think of it like the clear walls around the river, not stopping the current, but shaping it, making sure every drop flows with intention. When you choose not to speak, you're not hiding. You're focusing your energy. You're making room for what really matters to land with impact. And sometimes, the silence itself becomes the loudest part of the message. So ask yourself this: where can I be silent today? Not because I'm afraid, but because I'm in control. When will I choose not to explain, not to justify, not to jump into every conversation just to prove I'm right? Because real strength isn't always about being heard. Sometimes it's about knowing when to let your presence do the talking, like a river flowing through glass, calm, clear, unstoppable. What will your silence say today? This isn't about disappearing. It's about showing up on your own terms. Let your silence be strong, not empty. Let it speak where words fall short. Like the river shaped by its banks, let your quiet moments guide your voice, your choices, your presence. Sometimes the world doesn't need to hear you to feel you. Sometimes your silence says everything. So start the revolution, not with a shout, but with a pause, and let your power be felt, even when you say nothing at all.